Cholera kills over 140,000 each year around the world from some 4.3 million cases recorded.
Health officials suggest basic hygiene can prevent most of such deaths. But in the central region town of Mori, poor sanitation is killing many. In 2014 alone, over 134 people in the town contracted the disease, with some dying. But as Felix Sakoyam found out, many residents do not care.
This is Mori, a large fishing community in the central region. The coastal town is famous for many things, including tourism. It is also the hometown of the second gentleman of the land, Pakwisia Mr. Arthur. But there's one thing residents here are not proud of: poor sanitation. This makes the area a cholera endemic one. And there are many victims here. People have had to bear the brunt of a public negligence. Many people have been killed by cholera in this town. I meet Ajua Kunua, who is in her 60s. Ajua lost her husband in the last cholera outbreak in this community. His death is still fresh on her mind.
My husband complained of stomach upset. His upset worsened, so we took him to the hospital. He died shortly after he was admitted.
Ajua is frail and jobless, making life unbearable for her and her grandchildren following the passing of her husband.
My husband was our breadwinner. Since he died, I have had no one to take care of me.
She lives just meters away from the seashore. And here, that means living close to filth and open defecation, the possible cause of her husband's death. In spite of this, health officials in this community say they are making strenuous efforts to deal with cholera.
In 2012 we had it, and we had it in 2014. That was the last year we have it. We had it 2014, we had 134 cases. We had one confirmed death and one suspected death. But all the rest, all the 132 were saved.
We still saw people defecating along the beach, garbage left along the beach. Would you say that the people are really listening to your campaign, and is it really working?
Some are listening. Some are listening. But some are also deaf to the campaign. Some are listening. So if they had not been listening, we would have had the problem coming since last year and this year. So we will say that, well, some are not listening, but some are listening.
Nonetheless, a lot of work, both psychological and physical, needs to be done to deal with this public health situation. Felix Sakoyam, Mori, Joy News.
A US-based Ghanaian professor is advising the academia and industry to aggressively explore networking and collaboration in the job market.
Professor Emmanuel Ako of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore says the present business environment needs people who can connect with others for growth. He was speaking on funding research for national development at this year's summer school in Kumasi. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
The summer school brings together experts and professionals in various fields of academia, industry and governance to share practical ideas. They openly debate key players within the context of sustainable and accelerated national development. The school also encourages public and private sector service providers to deliver satisfactorily to the citizenry. Professor Akwa explains the importance of networking and advocacy to industry and training institutions.
Who is there to advocate for you for resources? Advocacy is also synonymous with your champions. Who are your champions outside there? Because as resources continue to become scarcer and scarcer, you need some individuals who will be out there advocating for your needs and serving as champions. You do have many alumni who are in very, very powerful positions in certain organizations, and you have to try to ensure that you bring them into the networking.
He also encourages industry to have people he describes as champions to drive the national development agenda through research.
To ensure that you have your research and development capability statement properly developed. It could be by college, it could be by a center, it could be by the whole university. In reading your annual research report, fantastic work is there. Most of the information out there is a matter of tweaking it to suit particular donor or agencies.
Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Ekospi Gabra, urged academia and industry to work closely together.
So I'm talking about a dramatic change in our national curriculum. And I'm talking about how do you process sugar cane into sugar, which has been going on recently, and everybody became an expert. Once they heard that Commander Sugar Factory had been opened, everybody was talking on the air. Journalists who have never studied anything about sugar cane became experts overnight. Oil palm. There are policies that the Ministry of Trade and Industry is trying to drive on sugar development in Ghana. And we need academia to be part of that process. We are talking about developing policies and programs for oil palm development in Ghana.
Vice Chancellor of the KNUST, Professor Kwesi Obri-Danso, is optimistic this year's edition will prescribe solutions to propel Ghana's development agenda. Professor Obri-Danso believes greater stakeholder collaboration is critical for utilizing scarce resources for a prosperous Ghana.
I'm therefore happy that this summer school concept is creating a platform for experienced resource persons, experts and professionals for academia, industry and government to share practical knowledge, technology and experience gained through hard work over the years. And with your dedication, open debate to issues, I'm sure together we can solve some of our national developmental challenges.
Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report.
A pre-election survey conducted by the Center for Democratic Development Ghana shows the governing National Democratic Congress is the most guilty of buying votes ahead of the 2016 elections going to take place in December.
A total of 51% of Ghanaians surveyed believe the John Mahama-led government has been buying votes, followed closely by Nana Akufo-Addo's New Patriotic Party with some 32%. The results of the survey comes at a time both the president and his wife, Lordina Mahama, have been accused by the anti-corruption group, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, of buying votes and abusing incumbency.
We wanted to find out what Ghanaians thought about those things that would make the election a good one. So again, majorities expect that the following aspects of the 2016 election to be free and fair, though in all cases, over a tenth to nearly 1/5 are pessimistic. So again, we think that peace and security for all citizens is key, resolution of post-election disputes, the counting and reporting of results, because again, we are discussing electronic transmission of results and that sort of thing. So that is important for Ghanaians in thinking that would help the quality of elections. The availability of information on all candidates and parties. Again, that goes to the media. You've got to be fair in the coverage you give to all political parties. Equal treatment of all candidates by the media. and equal access to resources by all candidates and parties. There's the current news is on abuse of incumbency, so I'm sure you understand what that means. But this is a true reflection of what Ghanaians think would help improve the quality of our elections. So what is the perceived neutrality of the Electoral Commission? Because that is the referee of the match. So how do Ghanaians think, what they think about the EC? So again, a clear majority of Ghanaians believe the EC performs its duties as a neutral body guided by law. However, a third think the EC takes decisions meant to favor particular people or parties of interest. So who are the culprits of vote buying in Ghana? Again, this runs parallel to, the violence, the kind of results we saw when it got to vote coercion. So the two front runners, the NDC and then the MPP, are the most cited parties that sell their votes.
And earlier this week, campaign spokesperson of the governing National Democratic Congress, Joyce Bawah-Mokhtari, confirmed to Joy News the president had been donating outboard motors to fishermen as part of his tour of the Western region. Well, the donation, she explained, was to help the fishermen in their line of work. But the executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Linda Ofori-Kwafo, told Joy News the action by the president goes beyond vote buying, describing it as abuse of incumbency. Explaining the rationale for the survey, the Governance and Legal Policy Officer of CDD, Kojo Pompuni Asante, said they wanted to track the incidence of vote buying and to find out whether people are offered monies.
It's not just the NDC, as the charts show. It's the two leading parties. As you can see, the other parties almost don't even record any numbers. And that is reflective of the two dominant parties who have been in power over the number of years. But basically, it's just to track the incidence of vote buying. We talk about it all the time anecdotally. We say, yeah, parties, buy votes and so on. We want to see what is the incidence. Have people actually been offered money? What do they perceive about the political parties buying votes? And large majority says, yeah, they believe the parties buy votes. But they also say that some of them are prepared to sell their votes as well. So for me, it is not just a question about the parties, which I think is a problem for democracy, for our democracy, but it's also a problem for the public. What is your actual experience of vote buying? Okay. But that's a question of evaluation, but there's also a question about what do you perceive to be the truth? Do you think parties engage in vote buying? Majority say yes, we believe. Then you track also actual incidents. Okay. Have you experienced? Do you think your neighbors have experience? Do you think your neighbors will take money and vote a certain way? So we track both the opinion, their perceptions, but also what they evaluate, what they think they've experienced.
The flag bearer of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has promised to reduce taxes and also restructure the Microfinance and Small Loan Center by making it easily accessible to people who need the intervention a lot more. He was speaking Thursday on the campaign trail in the Klote-Koli constituency in Accra.
The convoy is now moving on the streets in front of the central police station here at Tudu, and the support, I must say, is massive. We have passers-by, residents, traders, market women moving out from their businesses to cheer up the third-time presidential hopeful of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who is receiving massive endorsement here by residents and passers-by as well at the Central Business District here in Accra.
Nana Akufo-Addo was accompanied by old and current executives of the party, including former ministers of state. Addressing artisans at the Odona garage in the Klote-Koli constituency, former information minister Stephen Asamoah Boateng promised a Nana Akufo-Addo-led government will end the protracted energy crisis facing the country. The issue of electricity is a major challenge and is responsible for the collapse of many businesses across the country. I can assure you that a Nana Addo-led administration will fix the current crisis that is facing the country. NPP parliamentary candidate for the area, lawyer Philip Addison, in his address said Nanado would fulfill the promise of building a factory in all the districts across the country.
In the 8 years, MPP are buying what's on.
In the 8 years of the MPP rule during President Kufuor's era, we never had flooding here at Odorna.
What is that? Nana Kufuor to see Obeya factory for every district in all the 260.
And I want to promise you, Nanado will fulfill his promise of building a factory in all the districts across the country. The flag bearer charged the enthusiastic crowd to support his candidature and vote massively for the MPP in the December polls. He promised to reduce taxes in order for businesses to flourish. The taxes are just too much and responsible for the collapse of many small businesses across the country. I promise to reduce taxes if I get the nod to be president come December 7.
Maslow is going to be restructured to allow for small-scale enterprises to be the major beneficiaries of the Maslow program.
In other news, a group calling itself the Coalition Against the Proposed Concession Arrangements for the Electricity Company of Ghana has accused government of intending to hand out ECG to a private investor for a pittance.
Addressing a news conference in Accra, convener of the group, Richard Nyama, gave government a 5-day ultimatum to review the structure of the compacts with the Millennium Challenge Corporation or face a court action.
ECG, as we are currently speaking, in its assets and liabilities is worth $4 billion. $4 billion. Why will our government want to sell it for $400 million, 1/10 of its values? Somebody should be asking and answering this question. And we'll be very grateful if you ask the relevant sector ministers to give us answers to this. If they dispute the value of ECG as pertained in the external consultants who have advised on this transaction for ECG, then government should tell us what the value of ECG is in their understanding. We want to know what it is that went into it. And in any case, what methodology did government use to value ECG as we speak, to make it worth $400 million? How did they arrive at $400 million when a foreign consultant, a reputable foreign consultant, has valued that same company at $4 billion? Somebody should be telling us that. Secondly, we want to know what the role of our parliament was in coming to this decision. Is Parliament aware? Does it have a full complement of the facts on the sale of ECG? Because Parliament represents you and I. We elected them there. We all cannot take decisions. And so Parliament does it on our behalf. What role did they play? Are they aware that the actual value of ECG is $4 billion? and that we are giving it away at $400 million. Now, we've also indicated that we're going to have local content issues. As you and I speak, on the 11th of February this year, our government, in a cabinet decision, and if push comes to shove, we will put out the cabinet memo and let Ghanaians see how our government is giving everything away to foreigners. IFC valued ECG at $200 million. How they came to that value, I don't know. But the government then, in the cabinet meeting, put the value at $400 million US. They should tell us how they arrived at that. But we are saying that our cabinet met on the 11th of February this year and decided to give ECG away. Now, we have local content laws that we are seeking to even strengthen and ensure that Ghanaians take a larger stake in these companies. And yet, in this particular deal, local content was totally ignored. I am saying totally ignored. There is no aspect of the IFC document that gives attention to local content. MCC. Failure to act, we will do the following. Hold a stakeholders conference to solicit views of stakeholders on the alternative and credible structures for a PSP in ECG at the said forum. And at the said forum, we will make available to Ghanaians evidence to the effect that our government, in spite of the glaring evidence, is not interested in pursuing our interests. Secondly, we will submit a petition to the United States government with our evidence through the United States Embassy in Ghana. This petition shall be on the basis of the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of 1977 and the Securities and Exchange Act of 1934. It is our hope that, equipped with the full facts the United States government will act to redeem its image, being soiled by the acts and omissions of MIDA and IFC.
And that's it for the news. We hope that you enjoy the package, though. But you have a lot more comments on the latest news stories we've had for you this morning. Please make sure you log on to our Facebook page, News on TV, and please give us a WhatsApp message. WhatsApp us. 0568 800,000 is the number. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll do a review of the newspapers. Do stay on.